beautiful muses. Welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot and another Friday insight with your yes, no, maybe questions. We have 4 piles today, but before we jump into those, just a few things about the questions that you're bringing here. First of all, phrase your questions so that if you were to get a yes, that would feel like a positive outcome to you, or the outcome you're looking for. Second, the way that I am reading the energies with these questions is, if you're looking for just like a really black and white yes, no to a question that is very simply yes, no, am I going to get this job or not? Yes, no type of thing. Your question, you're welcome to bring those here, but the answers may feel a little overly complex for a question like that. So like something that would work better would be like, is this a job I would like? That kind of thing would be better than, am I going to get this job? It would be like, would I like this job if I got it? Something that has a little bit more complexity to it, a little bit more depth to it. The way I'm reading the energies, those answers are going to make more sense if they're a little bit deeper. By all means, bring whatever questions you want. Just know that, take and leave what you need if it's a really basic question. Okay, that being said, let's look at our 4 piles. We've got pile 1 with Unakite. Pile 2 has Calcified blue coral. Pile 3 is Aquamarine. And pile 4, we've got Malochite. Okay, so those are your 4 piles. If you have your own process for choosing piles, feel free to pause here and then just jump to the timestamps and descriptions. If you like the breath work I do that helps you sort of anchor into intuition as well as open to inspiration, we will jump into that now. So place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel that stability, that support underfoot. Now take a deep breath into your body to sort of anchor into that ground, into your body, and into that stability. Hold that breath and exhale. And now take another deep breath, and this time suck the air up, up, up into the space between your brows. Hold that. Suck in a little bit more to add pressure. And then out loud, exhale, opening up your crown chakra. Okay, now gaze over these 4 piles and ask which one has your most aligned answer, or answers if you have more than one question. All right, I'll see you in your readings. Hello, pile 1. You guys chose the Unakite stone. And if you are someone that has been coming to these yes, no's for a while, you've probably noticed right off the bat that something different is going on here. I'm kind of simplifying this weekly reading and just doing 3 cards and relying a little bit more heavily on the intuitive hit I get when I focus in on your group and your stone and how the cards are feeling. And so for your pile, as I was working with your cards and focusing on you guys, I kept sort of like drifting off, but like it's like I would go on autopilot and kind of get ahead of where I realized I was. So the message coming through what I was feeling around that is that I think you're in like a pretty upper level place, like a higher vibrational place around something with this question, which is beautiful. But when we really want to materialize something into our life, we have to get back down into our lower chakras and really ground and bring our energy back down to earth. Otherwise, it's just sort of like a little bit, it just like lives in that ethereal realm of possibility versus like ever really getting anchored into your life. And there's something about that coming through for this question. There's something about needing to ground your energy or ground something about what you're asking, get like a little bit more tangible or practical, something like that. So let's look at your cards to see if we can tease out a little bit more about what's going on with that, and if this then leans towards a yes, no. A leg up, beautiful. 7 of air. And waxing moon, the energy is gaining momentum. Yeah, the energy is beautiful here, and that's where that 7 of air is where I'm feeling like something has to kind of come back down to earth here. And what this is giving me a little more context around what that is. This is about really identifying your unique beat, your originality, something that's unique about this question that's sort of like marching to the beat of your own drum, doing things your way or doing things not by the book. And there's something about this that you need to really kind of anchor in and solidify within you and kind of accept that of like, this is whatever this question's about, it's about doing it your own way and not necessarily looking back to see how others are doing it or how they're responding. Something about a comparison, letting go of the comparisons and just doing what feels right for you and authentic and original in you. And by doing that, you are going to find your leg up and you're going to find your momentum. And so this very much so has beautiful possibility of yes here, but it is dependent on you really owning your own energy, your own, whatever's unique about this question, just like really owning it and doing it your own way or going your own way or doing something a little bit offbeat, out of the box, whatever it is for you, and being okay with that, sort of taking off, you know, like looking at this card, I really want her to take off her mask instead of trying to fit in with all the birds. There's something, you know, the advice coming through is like to stop trying to fit in and do it how it's typically done or how others are doing, and it's like take off your mask and just be, you know, own the originality, own the uniqueness here, because it's big and it's beautiful and it's awe-inspiring. It's like you're holding yourself back a little bit. And if you were to just own that there's something original and different and unique here and move forward with it, everyone, or like the energy around it would start moving. The momentum would go. That feeling of suddenly feeling like you have a leg up will appear. So absolutely the potential for a yes, dependent on you really owning whatever's original about this question or about actions you might need to take to honor the originality of what you're asking about. Yeah. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave you guys. If that resonated, I always appreciate the things, like, share, subscribe. Kind and thoughtful comments are always appreciated as well. And I wish you a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. Hello, pile 2. You guys picked your blue calcified coral. So if you are someone that has been coming to this weekly yes, no, maybe reading for some time, you've probably noticed my spread is different and much more minimalized. I'm trying to kind of distill this reading down, make it just like really much more simple, straightforward, to the point, and a little bit quicker at the same time. So I just have 3 cards I'm going to be reading, and I'm going to be leaning a little bit more into the intuitive hit I get while I am preparing your pile and focusing on your group. So for you, before I even get to the cards, I want to talk about the intuitive hit that came through, and it was much more of like a somatic or kinesthetic type of, sensations in my body versus words or visuals that came to me. It was very body feeling, and it felt like something in the pit of my stomach, like a dark cloud over me and a pit in my stomach. This doesn't necessarily mean we're getting a no here, but I feel like for at least a few people watching this, before I even get to the cards, this need to say like, does something feel off to you about this question? Does something make you feel uneasy, stuck, something like that here? And if so, to maybe figure out, like, is this even a question you should be asking right now? For those of you that don't feel that in you, let's just go ahead and look at the cards and see what else comes up. We've got regeneration, which is interesting. I'll hold it up so you can see a little better. Ten of water. And your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. So I do feel like something around this question is coming to the end of the road, and something like you're coming to a summit point. So in that sense, there is a yes here, in the sense of like, if I'm actually going to split my answer in two. If this question makes sense of like, am I going to reach the summit? Am I going to reach my victory, reach that thing I've been reaching for a very long time? That answer is yes. There's also yeses for answer, for questions around, should I sort of rebuild, kind of leave behind something and let that be food for like a new path, a new way forward. That's also a yes. And I think that those two things go hand in hand. There's something here that's coming to a pinnacle, and pretty quickly after that, it will be time to sort of let that go and make room for something new to come through. So and I don't usually do this where I give different answers within one reading. But if this is a question about something new that you're trying to push into, that's actually a yes too. So it's yes across the board. I'm just feeling like a lot of different kinds of questions coming here. If you're asking about something new here, there is a yes, but I feel the need to put some disclaimers on that. If this is about reaching for something big, reaching for, like authority, mastery in something, position in the world, it's going to be a really, really steep and long climb. And that's what I'm feeling, that pit in my stomach. For some of you, I think you're going to be like, okay, now that I have that information, I can gear up, and I think I have that perseverance and resilience within me to go for it. For others of you, that pit in your stomach may be a warning that you're not up to this right now. But this is saying if you stick with it, if you focus, if you can commit to the long game, and I'm specifically talking about if this question revolves around something new that you're trying to kind of orchestrate in your life, or like a new direction, a new path, a new position, a new, something like that. If it's something about something new, there's things you're still processing that you've had to let go, that is like kind of food for the new path. So you're still like not even ready to step foot on the new path yet. And then once you do, it's going to be a very steep and long climb. But all that you're imagining is possible. There can be a yes here. I just feel the need to kind of put that warning out. Like, this is not the road for the faint of heart. And so if this is something you're taking, with a light heart, or like hoping it will be easy, that pit in your stomach is telling you it won't be. And then you need to decide then if you want to pursue this. So it's a yes across the board. I just feel like different people are in different phases of this. Some people are coming to a summit, and this is just acknowledging that you are almost at that summit. For some people, it's like you've reached that summit and it's time to let that go, create space for something new. And then for some people, you're hoping to start something new. And this is just saying that's going to be a very long, steep road, but it's possible. Okay, so yes, across the board, but for some of you, you may, given what I've said here and the insight into this, may be like, yeah, that pit in my stomach is telling me like it's not a good idea though for where I'm at right now. Not saying you can't do it, but like assessing where you're at in life, what you have energy for, what your priorities are, because this would have to be a priority, and you would have to take other priorities off of your plate. And so it's like not a super balanced path going forward if this is about a new thing. Okay, so anyway, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate the things like share, subscribe, and always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. It's always nice to hear from you, and definitely have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your Yes, No, Maybe Friday Insight. You guys picked this beautiful Aquamarine. And for those of you that have been coming to my Yes, No, Maybe readings for some time, you've probably noticed I have a very, very different layout going on. I've sort of compacted this reading. I'm only going to be using 3 cards and relying a touch more heavily on the intuitive insights I get as I prepare your pile as well. So for you guys, the sense I got as I was, meditating on this group, as well as the way the cards were coming out, how things felt, everything felt very peaceful and light and easy. Sometimes that light energy can be like too light, like, even though it feels nice, it's like it doesn't feel like anything's going to ground or manifest from it because it's too up there. But this felt like a nice balance. There was an ease that was coming through. Cards came out really simply and beautifully. I don't know, just the whole vibe. It did feel airy and peaceful, but it also had a balance to it. It didn't feel too ungrounded to me. There was like just an ease going on here, which is, not necessarily going to give us our yes or no, although I would lean a little into yes without having seen the cards. But I do want to look at the cards before we confirm that. Never-ending story. That's interesting. Messenger of water. I actually want to look at there's like this spinny thing that says, it actually has like an air, different words around this shape. It's a heart, but there's different words around the outside that say like yes, no, maybe. I've actually never noticed that. So it feels like, for whatever reason that I noticed that this time in this card, it feels like some indecision. And maybe like right now you're struggling to tip the scales or confront something. You're just wanting things to feel easy and peaceful. But what your question is about actually needs you to kind of like make some decisions, confront some things, throw your life into a little bit more turmoil, not necessarily in a bad way, but just like disturb your cycle of peace a little to kind of create some action and change. And I see that coming in with the messenger of water. I see news coming in for you that is going to stir up your emotions a little bit. I think in a motivational way, in a way that you are actually needing to kind of like disturb your life a little, or disturb some things around this question to kind of get the motor revving, to make some decisions, to create a little bit of upheaval in order to get some movement. Sort of what I'm feeling. And then we have full moon in Taurus. Your dreams need a practical plan. Yeah, that's interesting. So I think that you are, the energy I was reading, the intuitive hits I was getting, is like you're in a really peaceful place. So the answer to this question is a maybe. You can keep sitting in this really peaceful place, but in a peaceful place where not much is going to change. Not a lot of growth is going to happen, but there is peace and ease, and that is appealing. And sometimes for a phase of life, we just need that for whatever reason. It can be, so if you want that, if you want to stay in that peacefulness, then this is a no. If some news comes, or you feel like you can find that motivation to kind of tease out a little bit more feeling, confronting things, pushing things, shaking life up a little bit, getting out of your comfort zone, then you can get your yes. But it's going to require you making some decisions, getting out of this kind of flowy place and making some tough decisions, making a plan, using some new information or ideas coming through to motivate, kind of stirring some things up, especially like emotionally, or how things are flowing in your life. But yeah, to get a yes, it's going to require you to get a little uncomfortable, shake things up a little bit, kind of ground and make some actionable plans. Mostly it's just like making some decisions and getting out of your comfort zone. That's how you'll get your yes. For some of you, I just feel like, getting your yes is maybe not as important as staying in some peaceful energy that is around you right now. And so this is why it's a maybe. This is up to you. You can have your yes, but it's going to require some discomfort. Or there can be a no, and you can stay in this kind of peaceful bubble. And there's nothing, I get the sense that there's nothing wrong with that. If that's something you feel like you need, there's nothing wrong with putting this off, whatever this question is about, putting it off a little longer. So sort of some discernment, again, up to you. And I think that's the major thing that Spirit wants from you, is to make a decision. Do you need to stay in some peace right now, or can you find that motivation and energy to shake things up, get a little bit uncomfortable, and start to push forward towards whatever this question is and getting your yes? No shame either way. That's the feeling I get, is like, if you need your peace, you need your peace. And I think that's totally valid and understandable, and there should be no shame in that. And if you're ready to move on and shake life up a little bit, then, you know, go for the yes, but time to get a little uncomfortable and push yourself a little more. Okay, so this is where I'm going to end this reading. If it resonated, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and definitely always grateful to get kind and thoughtful comments. It's always nice to hear from you guys. And yeah, wherever and whenever you are, have a beautiful day. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe reading. You guys picked this beautiful Malochite stone, which actually really matches these tarot cards. So just a little housekeeping before we dive into the cards. For those of you that have been coming to these weekly yes, no, maybe readings for some time, you probably noticed that my spread looks a lot different. So I'm mixing things up a little bit, trying to distill this reading to be a little bit more quick and to the point type of thing. So my intention was only to do 3 cards, you know, these 2 oracle and 1 tarot card, but for your group 2 tarot cards came out, so I just decided to take them. So in doing this, in kind of limiting the amount of cards I am putting out to read, I am also relying a little bit more on those intuitive hits I get before we get into the cards. So for you, as I was focusing on your group, how the cards felt as I was working with them for your group, focusing on your stone, there was something just kind of like deep and mysterious coming through. I didn't get any strong sense of leaning towards yes or no here. It was just like something's mysterious, powerful. Like this question might deal with things, you know, things having to do with power or empowerment or mysteries. And yeah, that it's really interesting, because when I use stones in readings, I don't get the same sense from a stone each time I use it. I'll pick up different energies from them when I use them in different readings. And for some reason, this Malachite, I feel like almost every time I've used it, and I'm just starting to notice this, it always has some kind of like power element attached to it. So I don't know, this stone's energy is pretty fixed in some ways for me, which is, at least so far, which is interesting. That's just an aside though, something I noticed. So let's look at your cards to kind of see what is going on around this, because I didn't get a great sense of like leaning towards yes, no, maybe in terms of an answer. I just kind of felt the general energy around the question. So we have chaos and conflict, the world, 8 of water, okay, and then balsamic moon, a time for healing. Yeah, something's coming to a close here. And oftentimes when we get to the end, like a metaphor I would use here, it's like going through the life cycle of something. There's always, you know, certain patterns that come with different places in a life cycle. And in whatever you're asking about is like you're at the end of that life cycle. And I always see it that like at the beginning of the life cycle of something, there's really tight boundaries around it, or both things. And then by the time we get to the end, there's a lot more complexity around things. The boundaries are very porous. We're having to deal with certain things ending and new things incubating. So it's just like a lot of, old patterns breaking down, and underneath new patterns starting to try to congeal. And the sensation that comes with that is a feeling of chaos and conflict. It's not always a bad thing. It is a precursor to the new. But what this is saying is you're in that moment with this question. Something is ending here, and even though there is a no pretty clearly for me here, and your question may pertain to something around power or mystery, I do think you're going to find some answers to mysteries, things that are hard to understand. The more you can surrender a little bit in here, around this question, the more some answers will just come to you, instead of trying to like force your way into finding answers or finding solutions. If you just kind of like surrender into what is, everything, how I see it is when you're in these really big porous boundaries, the more you're trying to control something or create order out of that with our limited human capabilities, the more you end up just getting whiplash, and you get kind of ping-ponged around with all the stuff swirling around in those porous, big, complex boundaries. But if you can find some stillness, and you sit in the center of that chaos with just some surrender and some stillness, things organize around you naturally. Things start to make sense. Inspiration starts to hit. Understandings, ahas. This is the place where like spiritual guidance can really find you in those porous boundaries if you can get still. And so this is a time to do that. And in that stillness, you're going to recognize why it's time to kind of surrender and walk away from certain things, why certain things may feel like they're dissolving in your life, why there's no way to kind of get a handle on certain conflict and chaos, but by surrendering to the fact that it's there, it's like that divine intervention is able to come in if you don't try to control it. And so what I'm feeling is that like I said before, there is a no here, but underneath that no, something is incubating that's really beautiful, a new beginning, a new start. But you do have to kind of get through a phase of a little bit of chaos before then. And there's divine timing here, definitely feeling some divine energies around you. You just need to let them come in, kind of thing. Those divine energies have to feel welcome in to a space. They're not going to force their way in. So the more you can kind of surrender and invite divine intervention in, it will arrive, it will show up, and it will show you how to move forward, why to move forward, what sort of, the new things congealing underneath what's ending. It's not something you can see, it's something you can sense and feel. So these moments of inspiration that hit, those are little clues to you. And those may have nuggets of mystery and power here that you're trying to dig at. And it's like trying to open a butterfly or a caterpillar chrysalis too early before the butterfly has made its way out. You just have to let that mystery of how it turns into a butterfly happen on its own, and you have to let it come out of its chrysalis on its own. Otherwise it's too weak if you open it for it, or if you open it too soon, it's just a bunch of goo in there. So that's sort of like some patience here. You can't, there's certain mysteries that are just going to be mysteries that you can't understand about new things incubating here. But these bubbles, these moments of inspiration that hit, those are little clues for you about what is coming. Yeah, so even though this reading did get a no, there is a silver lining that something, you know, is incubating, something different, something new, something underneath what is kind of dissolving or disappearing is incubating. So, oh, and then to touch on this, a time for healing, these big end of life cycle boundaries are a place of regeneration and healing. So lean into that as well. So give yourself space, give yourself a little more sleep. Whatever this question has to do with, like, give it space, give it time for some healing, let it just energetically heal in kind of an organic way. Yeah, so that was just like a last thing I forgot I wanted to touch on here. Okay, so if this resonated, I always appreciate the things, like, share, subscribe, and always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and definitely have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. All right, see you guys.